Just a heads up that our guest today does talk about his experiences with suicide. We want to bring your attention to this so you can take a pass on the episode if that's not for you. For those of you who want to continue forward with listening, please make sure that you're aware of any resources in your area that you might want to use. Should this bring up any distress for you, please reach out to your peer support team, psychologist, physician, or the distress line. All right, listeners, it's Ryan and Megan, and welcome to the Mental Health Mixtape, a podcast dedicated to fostering open conversations, sharing stories, and exploring a diverse range of topics related to mental health. So hold on to your seats as we sit down with some amazing guests to get their perspectives on the ever-changing landscape of mental health. And for all you old folks, no need to hit the record and pause button. Just sit back and let us navigate life's playlist together. During this podcast, you may hear stories about traumatic events and our guests' experiences. There may be discussions about suicide, traumatic events, and the outcomes from these events on personal lives. If you're struggling with anything you hear, please reach out to your peer support team, psychologist, call 911, or head to the nearest hospital. In Canada, you could call Boots on the Ground peer support for first responders at 1-833-677-2668. Talk Suicide Canada at 1-833-456-4566. And in the United States, call 988 for the National Crisis and Suicide Lifeline. It should be noted that the information shared on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional medical, psychological advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Right. So let me ask you this, because I think nowadays you define yourself as father, husband, author, mental health advocate. Once upon a time, some of those identities would have been, member of the Canadian Forces, corrections officer. If you think back to who you were when you were early in your military career, could you ever imagine sitting here having this kind of a conversation with someone like me?
Not in a million years. No. You would have been not the enemy, at least something like, depending on what state of, bananas I'm at.
Right.
And which vary from, hour to hour.
Yeah.
You would have been, someone, as a civilian, someone for me to protect.
Right.
Because I am a protector.
Right.
Right. Warrior. Sheepdog.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Or you're some kind of like tree hugging, granola munching, good sandal wearing hippie.
Right.
Problem, right? Mental
right.
health.
Whatever. Suck it up.
Weakness and pussies, right?
Yeah.
Fucking emotions weren't an issue to you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So to come to this point where I'm like, not only able to access emotions, not only like able to be comfortable with this physiological response inside my body that we call an emotion, be okay with it happening, regardless of what's happening, and then to be at a point where I can feel hope. I was never hopeful. I never experienced hope. I persevered despite. I fought because I was a fighter.
Yeah.
I fought all my childhood. I fought my adolescence. I fought in the army. I fought the army.
Why did you go into the army?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. Cortisol addiction.
Okay.
Right? Like, my family are, depending on which side, 4th and 5th generation military.
Okay.
And then most of us go in some form of horribly traumatic,
traumatizing public service or whatever.
Right,
yeah. Okay.
And we're all products of that environment. Like it's just, you can just see, like we talk about intergenerational trauma in Canada as though it's the, just the province of the First Nations. No. We're good at it.
Yeah.
Like we've excelled.
Yeah.
We'll take that and run with it.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks. But that is a thing that we all do.
Yeah.
And it's not just based on the, like my slanty eyes don't necessarily mean I'm a product of. There's also.
Well, totally. And, I was thinking about that getting ready for this interview today, because you, to me, like, I know enough about your story to know that I think there has been all of this potential for this transmission of trauma through the generations, and partly related to military service, partly related to other stuff, whatever. But like, to see you nowadays, like you have, like, it's like you've rerouted that transmission. Like what you're now transmitting is not trauma, it's healing.
Exactly.
Like
one of the so many, like, I don't know what to call them, myths or wrong ideas, or whatever you want to call it, we have in this culture is that, right, negativity, harm, all bad is transmissible, right? Transmissible?
Yeah.
That works. We'll
Yeah,
call it
yeah,
that.
yeah. We'll go with that.
I'm a writer. I know these stuff. But we forget too that a smile is just as contagious as a frown.
Yeah.
If not more so.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, I can pass on harm. I sure can. I did.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest boy has been diagnosed with PTSD from living with me. My wife, I didn't give it to her, but I sure helped hers along.
Right.
When you live with a madman,
right,
as I was for a good 4 years or change.
Yeah.
Right. Well, all my life, but then they were living with me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the sheer chaos, unpredictability. You don't know what's coming, but you know it's going to be bad.
Right.
And if things are good right now, all that means is it's a brief respite in the crazy because it's coming.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, my son has ADHD and anxiety, and he's, I passed that on. I did exactly what I knew I'd do. Right. I'm gonna fuck up my kid. Right. So I'm just might as well check out, bro.
Yeah.
Right?
Almost like you didn't have any control over it.
Right. But
yeah,
at the time, you could say I didn't.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that you had the like awareness or tools or right, like, so in a way it was kind of inevitable, right? But I think the part about shifting from like hurt to healing is like you stopped to go, this isn't about the world changing or the people around changing, it's me changing how I am with them.
Yeah, there was well, trace is everything, all of it, right? I started this because I reached a point where I knew I would do what my family does and poison my child and make him just like me, as bleak and hopeless and miserable as I was. So I decided the only possible solution, and made sense at the time, was kill myself. But I also knew if I did, I'd never see him again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was worse than death.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
you could kill yourself and protect him from you, which would be worse than death.
Right.
Or you could do something different.
Plan B. What's plan B?
Mm-hmm.
And there's this voice in the back of my head. I swear, I still hear it. I forget the name of the sitcom. I never watched television, but in the 80s there was Urkel.
Okay.
Right? He was everywhere, right? That high-pitched, nasally voice.
Yeah.
That was in the back of my head going, well, statistics show that the children of fathers who commit suicide go on to commit suicide in early adolescence, and on and on and on and on and on, right?
Right.
So, okay.
Can you, because, that's one of the things that I 200 messages of people that you just told me about who are thanking you for your book and for what you're doing by sharing your story. I mean, you talk about suicide pretty openly and about your experience with it. Was that it? Were you just like, I am seeing how much I'm maybe hurting my kid and I just don't want to do that anymore? Like, is that what happened for you?
Yeah, I'm dealing with, at the time, the loss and grief of my first wife of 20 years.
Yeah.
I've been kicked out of the army, so I'm useless. I'm in a job I despise because I'm becoming a person I'm not. I'm becoming a monster, and reveling in becoming a monster, taking pleasure in being a monster. I've gotten so twisted. My moral code is so warped, and now I have a baby that I'm going to fuck up, and I'm ruining my wife. I'm ruining her life too, my second wife. Everyone is miserable because of me. I'm miserable because of everyone. So yeah, the only solution is to take myself out of the equation. And that fixes everything, except it doesn't fix anything. It actually makes everything exponentially worse. So then it's time, okay, all right, you claim you're a tough guy, do you, Taylor? Huh? You say you're a fighter? Do you? Do you really? Do you?
Do you mean it?
Yeah. What are those arms there, Mr. Overcompensating? What about all those tough guy tats? You a tough guy? Do hard shit. Pick up the phone. Do hard things. And therapy was the hardest thing I've ever done. Second hardest thing I've ever done. Hardest thing was keep doing it. Starting it was hard and scary. But then the journey, right? Going into the places that I didn't want to go, that I walled up in my brain, right? Looking at all the things, openly, honestly, looking at the things that I never looked away from, I never wanted to see, right? Going back and visiting it again, and again, looking at it from different angles, dragging all that stuff out in the light, constantly going back. That was the hardest thing.
Well, and I think it sounds like, and I would agree with you, it also is like, it's not just, you pick up the phone, you go one time, or you go for even a year's worth of therapy or something like that. Like, that may be it. But then it's how do you change your life to live this way moving forward?
Exactly, right. Like it was a several years long journey, and I had to take so many not detours, but there'd be a roadblock that I'd have to find a way around, an obstacle to get over top of, right? The first hurdle was overcoming my my programmed distaste, if you want to call it that. It's not a strong enough word. Disdain for medication. Right? I was raised in my family. Half of them are in AA. The other half fucking well should be, but they're not. Right? Like, just not good stuff going on there. Right? Strangely, alcohol is not good for anybody. Weird.
Yeah, funny.
Put a poison in your body, see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But so when I quit drinking, I stayed a drunk. I was a dry drunk for decades, right? But I quit drinking several times. Finally, for good, in my early 30s, right? But at that point, like, this idea of taking any kind of meds, I wouldn't take aspirin. I've broken bones and wouldn't take aspirin at times,
really?
right? Like,
wow,
right? Yeah. Well, I was crazy, remember?
But that's the tough it out attitude,
right?
Like,
right? That's what we do with first responders and military, right? Pain, weakness leaving the body.
Right.
Whoa,
Right.
No, it's pain.
Yeah, it's just pain. It's tissue damage. It hurts. It needs your attention. Yeah,
right? It's extra stress, and you're already stressed as it is.
Yeah.
So treat the pain.
Yeah.
But no, couldn't learn that. But I couldn't. I reached a point where I plateaued. I couldn't do more therapy. The therapy wouldn't work. I would get to a point, right, where I'd make some progress, and then flashback or whatever, anxiety attack, right?
Right.
And all that work's gone. Ground zero. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. 2 forward, 2 back. I was like a year of trying to fight my way through this. I didn't know what anxiety was. Anxiety, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know it was an actual thing.
Yeah.
And people talk about that. That's like an Oprah thing.
Right.
But no, yeah. Anxiety is real. It's a genuine thing. Okay. So now I take meds to calm the anxiety down. Right. And then once the anxiety would calm itself, and I could see, and I could rationally, like, get out of my limbic system,
right,
and into my cognitive functions, I go, and then the therapy could work. Right.
It's like that saying where it's like there came a point where the risk of staying the same was worse than the risk of changing.
Yeah. I had to reach a point of absolute desperation, time and again, before I would find the courage to just do what the professionals were saying I should probably do. But I would fight you guys so much. I would fight you so hard.
Yeah.
I keep going back to you to help. Please help me. No, I won't do it. No.
Exactly. Help me, but not like that. I want you to help me in the ways that I want you to help me.
You just fix me.
Yeah.
I don't do anything.
Yeah.
No. That's how it works.
Yeah.
I come here. I sit in this chair. You fix me, and I. That's how it works. What do you mean I got to do stuff?
So what was the hardest? I mean, I'm sure there's been lots of hard things, but what's one of the hardest things that, like, you had to, I don't know, like, look at or come to terms with in your healing?
That I'm a good man.
It was hard for you to believe that?
I still struggle at times. All my life, I've never been good enough. Right? It's not, caveat, my parents are not horrible human beings.
Yeah.
Right? They are, but they're not. Right? They are because of the trauma.
Sure.
They are because of what's happened to them.
Yeah. And everybody does horrible things.
Right? But they're not setting out in life to cause harm.
Right.
They'd never once in their life thought, well, I want to fuck this kid up.
Right.
They did the very best they could to make sure it didn't happen.
Right.
They did.
Right.
Which is what I did.
Right.
I'm not better than them. I just had better tools. I had more knowledge.
Right.
So we as a culture do this thing to our children, and we're still doing it, but we're getting better at this now. I've noticed this change. But we taught, especially, when I was a child in the 70s, 1970s, little boys weren't allowed to feel anything other than hungry, maybe tired, angry. right? These things, and then became, oh, if I could be horny too. I
Right.
feel 4 things.
Right.
Nothing other than that. The problem was, if I felt lonely, I was being weak. If I was scared, I was weak. If I was anything other than tired, like before I'm allowed, then I'm weak. This idea that that's weakness, that emotions are a weakness.
Well, and what's interesting to me, sorry, as a caveat there, or just an interruption, is that none of those are actually emotion terms, right?
Right.
Like hungry, tired, angry. I mean, I guess angry is, and horny, right? But I mean, we're not actually talking even necessarily about your emotional world. We're talking about physiological states,
right?
Right.
So if you experience the physiological response to an external stimulus that we call sadness,
Right.
because your dog's dead,
Right. Right.
like sad things happen, right? So what happens to your body? Well, your body experiences sensations and sends them to your mind, which we then call an emotion.
Right.
Right? You know this.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
in the BOSS program.
Yeah.
BOSS program, right? These things are taught. Well, I was taught that if I experience sadness, I'm weak. I was told
Yeah.
when I was like 13 or 14, and I witnessed one of my role models die, that the solution was to go drink some whiskey. This was an actual, and this was decades of people teaching this, right?
Yep.
So we did this to our kids. We taught them that if they experience this thing, they're not good enough.
Yeah. And to get rid of it in some way, right?
Get rid of it, right? Don't feel what you're feeling.
Yeah.
But I can't not feel what I'm feeling. So therefore, I'm not good enough. I'm making all the adults in my life angry because I'm failing them. I suck as a creature. I'm unworthy of love.
Right.
All right, got it. Thanks. Nailed
it.
Right? Or if you were a girl in my time, you could feel anything you wanted to, you just can't express it.
Right.
Especially anger.
Oh yeah.
Or anything other than being like, you must be demure.
Yeah, and not too much. Like, don't ever be too much of anything.
Right? Like just sort of just fade into the woodwork.
Yeah.
Okay, little girl, be pretty.
Oh my goodness.
Be pretty, right? What a horrible message we send our kids.
Yeah.
Decades, generations, centuries of this, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I learned. So there's still a voice in my head that tries to tell me you're not good enough, Taylor. Except, okay, so we'll go back and answer one of those previous questions in the same with this one here. So the epiphany that started the real work was the result of hard work, lots of therapy, hard work, questioning and answering myself and doubting everything I'm at work in the jail, and I'm about to go onto a unit, and my hand's on the door, so the lock is cycling. But I'm not opening the door, and I'm aware of this. It's one of those like out of body yourself experiences, right? I'm watching myself standing there holding this door, and I can picture the guy in the pod go.
Like, why aren't you moving?
Yeah, like how long it was, I couldn't tell. I know it was long enough that I really made my badge replacing angry. But that could take 10 seconds of jail guards. We're an angry lot.
You're right.
But my brain started doing this thing to me where it was going, hey, are you? Because I was going to kill myself because I was the shittiest father in the world. I was the worst father ever. So I had to die. So my brain went, are you really? Let's just explore for a second, okay? Which I wasn't ready for. And it said, so, trigger alert, trigger warning. Have you ever raped your baby? Which I replied to myself, no! Well then, you're not the worst by definition, are you? Oh.
So this was just spontaneously coming
in my
up
head, just came out of nowhere, right?
Wow.
Just came out of nowhere. Just, are you really? Okay. Have you ever beaten your baby son? Have you ever punched your infant child in the face? No. And just this litany of awful, horrible things that I know have happened because I am surrounded by men who do this.
Because you've seen it.
Right? I've experienced some of it. I lived on some of this stuff, right? My father never beat me or raped me, but I've seen stuff, right? And I'm surrounded by it. So there's this list, right? I'm seeing a face go by. I know his crimes. Do any of those things? Nope. Nope. There's this whole list of things. So you didn't do any of those stuff, no. So by definition, you're not even like the 100th worst or millionth worst father in the world, are you?
Right.
Are you?
Right.
I guess not. Right? Okay, so all right, let's go a little further. I don't want to. We're gonna anyway. Fuck you. Okay. All right. Right. Still right.
Yeah.
I can feel the lock in through the door. Right.
Wow.
Isn't it true, Taylor, little boy, that your kid has food every day, roof over his head that he'll never lose, clean clothes, new clothes, toys, all the toys in the world, everything you ever want. Isn't it true? He has everything you possibly have, except maybe his father's unconditional love. No, I love him unconditionally. Do you really? I do. Oh. Hey, didn't you read 7 books on parenting back to back in the first 7 months of his life? I did. So you really want to be a good dad, don't you? Yeah, I do. That's why I'm doing all this shit. Yeah, you want to be a good dad. I do. Well, if you were a shitty dad, you wouldn't care you were a shitty dad, would you, asshole? Yeah, because shitty people don't care if they're shitty. But good people worry a lot if they're doing shitty things. So you are, by definition, a good dad.
And this is all happening while chunk, chunk,
chunk, chunk. Bang, bang, bang on the glass. Right? Like.
Well, I love that you had, I love that this happened spontaneously, but I'm so glad that your mind also didn't just like try to talk you out of the bad, but actually made you look at the good, right? Because we're so quick to discount the fact that, yeah, like that's what I would have wanted to do. Is like, let's take an inventory of all the things you do every single day, or since you knew you were going to have a child, or since that child came into the world, all the things you do every day to try to show up as a good dad.
Right. And
yeah,
that was when it really started to work. That's when these really began to sink in. The meds were starting to work at the same time, which is probably why the mental flexibility was available.
Right.
I wasn't just trapped in fear and rage.
Right.
Or rage. At that time, everything caused rage, not anger. Right. Anger is directed. Anger's not a bad thing. Right. Anger's a bullet. I can aim a bullet and make it do what I want it to do. Right. It may cause harm, but specific. Right. But rage is a grenade with the pin pulled, right? And when the pin is pulled, Mr. Grenade is nobody's friend. Right? And I was a walking grenade.
Well, would you say that rage has some element of terror in it?
Total fear. It's complete fear. I wouldn't say all anger is in my experience. I don't know what science says about it, but in my experience, not all anger is a direct result of fear.
Agreed. Yeah.
But a lot of it, I would say, for me personally, most of it was fear of something, whether that was a physical threat, which I can deal with. Actually, I don't get angry at physical. I'm very calm with physical threats. I'm right. That first responder mentality, right? Yeah. Oh, everything's going to chaos. Everyone's terrified.
And you slide into gear.
All right. Let's fix some shit.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
That's when I'm at my best. Right. When everything's going fucking insane and people are terrified and it's sheer chaos and there's violence and gore. I'm home. Right? I'm home. I can function here. Let me just take a second to enjoy. Oh, no, I shouldn't enjoy it. Okay, that's just work, right? But so yeah, when I put my uniform on, whatever uniform it was, I'd be great, right? Rock star most of the time. Which is pretty good. That's the best you can hope for. Is rock star most of the time.
Sure.
In that those kind of jobs, right?
But then you take the uniform off.
Total disaster.
Yeah.
It's just an emotional train wreck because I'm trying to not experience emotions.
Yeah.
Which is impossible.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to not feel, and as a result of trying to push everything, all the feelings down, right? I can manage to do. You can't suppress some emotions and allow others through.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, and they're physical responses, right? So I was actually, people would marvel at how incredibly tough I was. I would walk around in northern Alberta weather, wintertime. I would go outside barefoot and shirtless and not be affected by -40 weather sometimes. Why? Because I'm tough? No, because I'm fucking dead from the neck down.
That's right, because you're not feeling anything, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I broke bones and keep working.
Yeah.
And not even know I broke. There's a vertebrae in my back that was broken and almost crushed. I had no idea. We found it years later, the results of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you think about how remarkable that is, right? Like, to have gotten to a place of being shut down so significantly that, yeah, you're not feeling cold, you're not feeling, the extreme pain that one would assume would come along with a broken vertebrae. Like, I mean, like that, I find that so heartbreaking, but also so remarkable to go, like, the fact that the body can actually do that, right?
Like, I don't want to be crazy again because the
Yeah.
consequences were way too harsh. But
Yeah.
if I could turn that part on, if I could be Wolverine again,
Yeah, right.
like not
right.
feel pain, not
Right.
need sleep, not
Yeah.
need food for days and nights on end, and just function at that capacity on sheer mania,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But you're not a machine.
But I'm not a machine.
Yeah.
No.
So, I mean, you're out there a ton. You're talking to people. You're doing this. You are, to me, the very epitome of like a mental health advocate or ambassador, or whatever. Do you think things are like? Where do you think we're at in terms of change and progress? And
I think we are on the cusp of something big.
you do?
I do. I feel like we're on. The problem with it though is it's the fucking Wild West, which I love.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm all about it, right?
Yeah, right.
But it's caused there's harm, and lots of it, and really significant harm being done, especially amongst the first responder veteran community, because there are people who are claiming to be providing assistance of some kind. A lot of them can be peer support, but they don't. Like I have, and I've stepped back from it. I have for years provided peer support, but only ever under the direction, guidance, supervision, and support of trained, registered therapists, preferably with a PhD in psychology.
Right.
So that I know I have this is my left of arc, my right of arc. I can go these far and no further.
Right.
If it goes beyond that, then I'm getting help. And I know that I need to say these things in this order at these times, and then I can waffle through here, and I can just go from the heart most of the time. But I got limits.
Yeah.
I'm not a therapist. I can't provide therapy.
Right.
I can provide support. That's what the important part of peer support is. Support. Right. I don't train. I don't teach. I don't advise. I explain my experiences, how they affected me, and I aim them towards professionals. But there are people who claim to peer support out there right now, organizations, some of them nationwide. No names because I don't want to get you sued.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
That are,
yeah,
their so-called peer supporters are qualified under this agency or that agency. They have some courses from online, but they're not therapists, and they're providing, or they're trying to provide therapy.
Right.
Some of them go so far as to advise that their people, that they're I don't know what to call them, but the peers they're supposed to be supporting, not go to professional help. There are some people out there who claim that psychologists have no place with peer support. Now, yes and no. I kind of agree with some of that. Like, it's not your job, doctor, to provide peer support to my peer.
Because I can't.
My job.
Yeah, right.
I'm the peer, right? You're very familiar with us. 2 decades of working with us will do that. You know the lingo, language.
I was with you.
How we talk. See, you know how we talk, right? You know how we think.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know us.
Yeah.
But you also know that because we're us, we're very tribal.
Yeah.
Right? And you're not tribe. Right?
Yeah. That's right.
And you should be. In my mind, you are. You're part of my tribe.
Oh, well, thank you. You're part of my tribe, too.
Yay. But, like I said, as a peer supporter, I can provide all kinds of support.
Yeah.
Even at times I can provide some guidance and direction to an extent.
Yeah. I think I get what you're saying, and I think I agree with you. Like, so correct me if I've got you wrong here, but it's like, I think we're on the cusp of something big too. And I think, all the slogging away of the last 15 to 20 years being like, hey, this is an issue. Hey, this is a problem. Hey, we need different kinds of supports for these people, right? Like, I think that's finally, there's some traction on that. And I think we're at a place within the next, I hope, like 3 to 5 years, we're going to have some totally different like standards and competencies and things that are going to be available to first responders and their families that have never existed before. Like, I really think that's coming. But we are in an interesting time right now because, yeah, it's like everywhere you turn, there's a new program or a new piece of technology or a new, we're going to solve the problem of first responder mental health, right? And so trying to help people figure out where to go and what they should be looking for and how they access the best quality of care they can get. Like there's still some work to be done in that realm.
And that's why I get that other company that I kind of
Yeah,
brought to your
yeah,
attention,
right, yeah.
Like I jumped on that for two reasons. One, see if I can get something out of it myself.
Sure. Yeah.
But two, is this working or is this snake oil?
Right.
So I give it, I spent a month and a change doing the program with them, right? And I'm like, okay, you know what? This is actually pretty effective. And if this combined with the boss program, we could do some, oh boy, that person, they got to talk.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
And then I'm trying some other things online and other programs, right? And I'll go out and I'll be the guinea pig.
Yeah.
I'm in a place where I can do that now.
Right.
I'm not going to get dysregulated for like, I might have a really bad hour.
Yeah.
Right. But that's the worst that's going to happen. I'll have a really bad hour and then I'll be okay. Right.
Yeah.
But so I'm trying to and Forrest Gump. I am the Forrest Gump of first responder PTSD in Canada. It's like I'm walking into, and wherever I go, I run into somebody that I'm good that has some influence.
Yeah.
Or I run into somebody that I know. Okay, I get to know them. I'm like, okay, you're harmful. So I can. How do I wall you off to the back? How can I save people from you, right? But also I keep walking into like situations where I'm meeting influential people, like CEOs, that I can then put in touch with other influential people and watch something magical possibly happen.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work.
Nope.
But something does get planted, right? Try to arrange a thing for you and somebody really important a couple of months ago. It didn't work out the way we wanted to. But it will work out.
Oh, for sure. Totally.
Because that other person, the third party, is going to rip off what and
well, and I think like we've been sort of saying, like sometimes it is about you plant the seed and then you see where it grows, or you drop the stone in the lake, or whatever metaphor you want to use, right? And you don't always see immediately what the effect of that is, right?
But it will, and I truly believe that putting whatever energy you put out will come back.
Yes.
Or will spread, whatever. Like, because this is one thing that our primitive ancestors understood, and our modern physicists understand. Like everything's energy; it's all connected. Everything's connected everywhere. You can't destroy energy, right? It just transmutes and changes. Well, as long as you you can create energy. As long as you keep creating positive energy, pushing it out, it will never stop.
Yeah, like one of the things that I when I hear someone say this, I just am like, okay, we've got work to do. Like if someone says to me, oh, so-and-so was really pushing my buttons and they made me really angry, right? It's like, yeah, man, because you disempower yourself,
right?
When you think about it like that, right? Like somebody else has the power to be in charge of my emotions. I'm not saying it's easy, right? Something happens and there's a frustration. You have to learn, like you're talking about, you have to learn how to go, that stimulus happened. I now have this reaction, but it's my reaction, right? And I'm in charge of it, and I can have power within myself, right? Then we're in a position to maybe do something different about it.
I find our culture, like in terms of like the first responder world, and in terms of mental health for first responders, I think we're on the cusp of something great happening.
Yeah.
But in terms of our entire culture, I see this incredibly overwhelming, soul crushing. It's almost like a deliberate effort, but I don't believe it is. It's just perpetuation of awful, of trying to disempower people, trying to teach that everyone's a victim of everything else, and everyone's powerless and hopeless. And that is depression. That's
learned helplessness.
That's what I was. I was helpless to change anything in my life.
Yeah.
I was a victim of everything. I was a victim of the job, a victim of my wife, a victim of all. I was a victim of life, except none of that's even remotely close to true.
No.
I believed it.
Totally. And so many people do. And, and I think it's always such a gentle and delicate conversation to be had, because like if something happens to someone, if somebody perpetrates something against them, like I'm never going to be in a position of saying, oh, well, that wasn't as bad as you say, or, you can just accept it or whatever. It's not about trying to act as though something wasn't horrifying or tragic or whatever the case may be. If something has happened or if somebody did something to you and it really hurt you, we have to acknowledge and, support and validate that. And then we also have to look at it and go, you are the only one who can move your life forward.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the thing I had to learn, was that nothing's my fault and everything's my responsibility.
Right. That's exactly
Nothing's my fault. Everything's my responsibility.
Yes.
Which is amazing, because that means I can change shit.
That's right.
Right?
That's
like,
right.
if I'm a helpless victim, then I can't do anything. I am helpless. I'm a
Right.
victim. I'm fucked.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I never am.
Right.
No matter what.
Right.
Even when I'm getting my ass kicked, which happens whenever I go to the mats.
Yeah, right.
I might be losing this
Yeah.
role, this match, whatever, right? But I'm not helpless. I can still struggle against it. I can still learn.
Yeah.
I never lose.
That's right.
I win, very rarely, or I learn.
Right. All the time, right?
And the same with everything in life.
Totally.
I had to learn.
Yeah.
That I had to learn, right? That I'm never helpless.
Yeah.
And that even if something really horrible is completely out of my control happens, I can't affect a meteorite falls on my truck and crushes my truck. I can't stop the meteorite. I can't fix my truck.
Right.
But how I choose to look at it,
right,
and how long I want to carry it, is entirely up to me.
Totally.
Right.
I mean, that's just it, right? And I think that's, certainly if, you've mentioned Boss a couple of times, like that was a lot of what I thought about in building Boss, was just like, look, let's just acknowledge the fact that these crazy, shitty, traumatic things are going to continue to happen. We understand that on such a different scale now in first response organizations. But if that's all you can think, is that you're just going to be constantly exposed to trauma and it's going to damage you, and well, A, why would you ever do these careers? But B, you're kind of summarily fucked if you choose to become a corrections officer or enter the military, whatever. What if instead we went, okay, look, here's the reality of the situation, and you can also learn to do this. You can understand that this is how it's going to affect your nervous system. You can, learn to think about things in this way. You can understand what emotions are all about, so then you actually have some empowerment instead of just feeling like you're always victimized.
Exactly. Like you can learn and train yourself to, okay, I got to go in a situation like, okay, this is going to suck. I don't want to deal with emotions at the moment. I have no time. I got to shut this off for now. Deal with the thing. Do the stuff. Fix the situation. Done. Okay. Now I have to step back, turn everything back on, because I can.
Mm-hmm.
Sit in it, because I can.
Mm-hmm.
Let whatever has to come up. And then when it wants to leave, here's the tricky part, just let it fucking go.
Just let it happen.
Just let it go.
Yeah.
Right? I would do that with like joy. I'll let joy go.
Yeah, right.
I'll let happiness go. Sure,
right.
Not a problem. But I would hang on to pain.
Right.
And just
right.
grab it, and sorrow and trauma and grief
yes.
and rage and just all the ugly, and just keep it all, and just hoard it, just hug it to my soul, and just wallow in the ugly filth of my life. Except my life isn't ugly or filthy.
No.
I let myself see it that way.
Right.
I was fucking blessed.
Yeah.
And now I can see that. I take a moment every day. Try to find a moment every day where I can just stop and just go, okay, what are you grateful for?
Yep.
Give me 10 things right now.
Yep.
Right? At first it was really hard.
Yeah.
I couldn't find 3 things I was grateful for. Right? And then I added coffee to the list every day. Number 5 was coffee every day.
Yeah, right.
And then I could start finding 10 things.
Yeah.
Sometimes they were like, huge. What am I grateful for? I'm grateful for, the earth is still revolving around the sun, right?
Right.
Great.
Right. It doesn't have to be, I think sometimes that's the thing that people get lost a bit about with gratitude. It's like, it doesn't have to be like the big deal closed, or, I'm having some great moment with my spouse or whatever. It literally can be like the sun continues to rise in the morning. Like, I do have this cup of coffee in front of me, I'm grateful for my dog every morning. What's that?
My back only hurts an 8 out of 10. Not a 9,
yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like, I'm a little less sore today.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Or, even I was sometimes, when I'm like in the right headspace, I can be grateful. I can be grateful for all of my trauma, because my trauma, surviving it, learning from it, growing from it, has made me into a man that I want my children to become. That was my biggest fear, right? But go back to the day.
Yeah.
Right? You claim you're a leader, Taylor? What do leaders do? They lead. Yeah. How? By example. What do you mean? A leader models the behavior he wants his subordinates to exhibit. And then, therefore, they do because they want to be like him. What do dads do, asshole? Oh.
Right.
So what are you modeling? Oh. What do you want to do with that? Oh. So if I start acting like the man I want Trace to be, he'll start becoming that. Oh. Yeah, I wrote it down here before I got this tat. WW, what would grown up Trace do? WWGUTD. What would grown up Trace do? Every day, marker.
Wow.
Well, and so I'd be situation, I'd be like, Kiro, would Trace do that? Well, he would if I do it now.
Right.
What do you want him to do? Not do that?
Yeah.
So what are you going to do about it? Something else? Yeah, okay. Find something less stupid and do that.
Right.
Okay.
Huh.
And here's the thing, too. Like, I didn't know how to be a dad, so I can't do it. I can't do it. No? You can't? You can't, or you won't try.
Right. Are you willing to
Oh,
learn to do something
right.
different?
Okay.
Right.
So, yeah. So, what do you do now? What do you want to do now? And the thing is, right, like you do anything, you fake shit long enough. You're not faking anymore, right? So I'm faking. For months and months and months, I'm faking behavior. Thinking my way through situations that are totally and coming up with answers and situations that are completely foreign to me. My first instinct is always rage. Right? But that's not helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever, right? So fake it. Be the person you want your son to become.
Mm-hmm.
Be the person you think your dog thinks you are, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, my dog thinks I'm a psycho.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, exactly.
she's right.
Yeah.
Right? So, but be the person. So I just faked it and faked it and faked it, and eventually that became who I am.
Yeah.
Until now, right? I'm really okay if my kids turn out like me. I hope they do better. Right? They can grow from here.
Right. But if at least they became who you are, that would be okay.
That'd be great.
Wow, that's amazing. So, like, I mean, another way to look at this, or another question I guess I have for you is like, you know, knowing all the trauma that you've been through, knowing all of the incredibly dark places it took you to, knowing how close it brought you to almost losing your life. If you had to do it over again, would you?
Yes. Wouldn't change a fucking thing. I wouldn't change a fucking thing, Megan. Last month, my son's therapist says to me that we'll keep coming back for meetings every month, not every week, every month, so that they can maintain the relationship in case he ever needs her again, because he doesn't anymore. A 7-year-old healed himself inside of a year.
A year. Wow.
Through work and work. My work, his mom's work, and his own work, and our work as a couple, and our work as a family. My son?
Wow.
My son's safe.
Well, and for him to have that experience at 7.
7. My son is the man I want him to become.
Right, already.
I wouldn't have the goddamn thing. Because it worked. We fixed it. We stopped it. It ended. Cycle stopped.
Right. And there's inevitably going to be other stuff, right?
Always.
But you also have like a framework, or you have an understanding or a way of being together that you'll show up to it in a different kind of a way.
Always. He's really ill right now, which is the reason why I was running late. First nose bug, right? Projectile exorcist vomiting. Like,
oh God!
It's
oh gosh!
But instead of, like all day yesterday, instead of him being in tears and screaming and me raging at him and calm the fuck down, because that works.
Right.
Right. And my wife trying to control the universe to keep me from going off and keep me calm, which is impossible.
Also impossible.
Right. Instead of this insanity, it's like, oh, that wasn't good. And so I'm calm about it. He's calm about getting up puking.
Yeah, as calm as you can be, right?
Like
yeah.
he's as calm as it's possible for a human to be while vomiting. Like
Wow.
and he's 7. He's just and unmedicated because he picked them all up. Like
Yeah,
he's not on
right,
meds the past
right.
couple of days because he can't keep them in him, and he's still regulating. And so am I, and so is my wife. Like everyone in the house,
It's just like getting through a difficult time together.
and enjoying as much of it as we can.
Yeah, and not making it worse.
Right.
Right.
Whereas like I can look back, and not that far back, I can see the psycho that would have been there, and how much worse everything would have been.
Well, you know, it's funny, like I don't know, this is just the way I work, but I can imagine what it would have felt like in your household before you all did all of this healing and all this work. And I can only imagine it must have felt like just electric, like just humming with tension and what's going to happen next. And whereas what you've just described is like, yeah, like who likes to be that sick? But it sounds like it has so much more of a grounded feeling to it.
Yeah, and yeah, it's more like grounded is I think the perfect word. Just yeah, I'm not having a great time cleaning up puke,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also just dealing with a thing that all humans deal with.
You're just showing up to it because it's life and it's whatever,
It
right?
is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not freaking out
Yeah.
and allowing my concern over my ill child turn me into a seething ball of rage.
Right.
How is that helpful to anyone?
No.
Right? Like my son didn't know what emotion he was experiencing because he didn't have a model. Everything was rage. Daddy was raging all the time. So he didn't understand what his body was going through.
Right.
His school has been immensely helpful. The teachers are very, very like they're amazing. The school system, I don't know anywhere else, but in Cochrane, Elizabeth Barrett has been just fantastic for him. He's been they've been a huge part of his recovery. That's the thing too, is that everything's got to be open and honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does illness do? It causes us to isolate, keep secrets, and be scared,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Once I stopped being scared,
Mm-hmm.
I started opening up first to therapists and then
Mm-hmm.
to everyone else in the world. Well, my son has therapists, his teachers, his parents, grandparents, all the adults in his life are all on board and they're all open and honest about what happened. I explained, like, I was a psycho to my kid, and this is what we're working with now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, teachers like, it's great, okay, we can work with this.
Right.
Right. And
instead of trying to like be like, no, I was a great dad, and then being like, we have something to tell you, right? And you not being open to hearing that.
Right. No, I was like, no, I was a monster. I was psychologically abusive to my child.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do these things, but they're my responsibility.
Right.
My trauma did it because I didn't control my trauma yet. I didn't have my shit under control.
Right.
I wasn't a proper leader. I wasn't a proper dad. I wasn't a proper responder. I wasn't a proper cop. I wasn't proper anything. I wasn't proper human.
Yeah. Yeah.
But once I learned to do that and then become open and honest, that's the thing. Because we're a mammalian group species,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
we can't function alone.
Mm-mm.
I need other humans. I need the physical contact. I also need that positive social feedback. And
Totally.
That's what you guys do, right? That's what a psychologist does. You
Yeah.
provide unconditional positive social feedback.
Right.
And
right. And, and a safe space to be able to look at the things that you maybe are doing that are not helping you to have the life you want to have.
And I can't see that.
Right.
I can't fix my shit alone because I have all these blind spots that I don't know, all these behaviors and thought patterns I'm unaware of.
Yeah.
I need a professional to go, hey, what you're doing there is this thing we call blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's an actual thing. It's like a whole theory, but you can read it.
Yeah.
But this is how we fix that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Do you ever notice that you're doing this? Do you ever wonder why that's happening? Yeah. So let me ask you this. If your kids were to get to a point in their life, into adolescence or whatever, and they were like, I want to be a corrections officer. I want to enter the military. I want to be a cop. What would you say?
I can't say no because that's what you will not enlist.
Right.
Yeah? Right.
Guess what? Yeah.
No, they'll be whatever they want to be. I'm hoping to be like paleontologists. I'm going to say PTSD and paleontology.
Okay.
but they're already following. And I'm a vet. I was corrections. I did a bunch of other stuff, all that field. My wife is law enforcement, and she's enlisting.
Yep, she is. Hey.
Reserves.
Oh, good Lord.
Right.
Okay.
I know, right?
All right.
Right. We know all the stuff. We both done the boss program.
Yeah.
Our therapists are here, but so are they gonna? Like, what am I gonna do? Cut my arms off? Like, how am I gonna tell them to not like? Right?
No,
like,
totally.
So we're just being open and honest, but we're also making them aware, emotionally literate at 5 and 7, and explaining like this is like the wolves tats on the back of my hand, right? Everyone's heard the story of the good wolf and the bad wolf, right? The black wolf in your soul or your brain fighting for control, right?
Yeah.
That's how we explain PTSD to my kids.
Yeah.
The wolves.
Yeah.
So we feed the correct wolf. Yeah. Because the incorrect wolf will.
Yeah, and it's not like we can't pretend that that's not there, but it's about how do we understand it? How do we understand how it shows up in our life? And then how do we feed both sides of ourselves, differently and hopefully in a healthy way?
Yeah. So hopefully they don't put on a uniform, but if they do, if I've done my job properly, they'll be ready to deal with the traumas that will come with the job. Yeah. And they'll shake the traumas off at the same time they take off their uniforms. Yeah. That's the plan. Well, the plan is to become paleontologists or marine biologists.
Yeah.
Paleontologists.
Ologist, yeah.
Paleontologist.
I think paleontologist works because, bones and rocks and stuff, right?
There's no PTSD.
Hard to find a lot of moral injury in that, I think. Yeah, totally. But, to your point, and I think this is possible too. I oftentimes ask people who have experience, do you think that anybody who goes into corrections or whatever, are they destined to be injured, to be psychologically injured? And I think the answer is no. I don't think it has to be like a preordained sentence that you will automatically be traumatized and injured. But I think there's a lot of things that have to happen for that not to occur.
First and foremost, you have to have the knowledge.
Yeah.
The psychological training, in my mind, knowing what I know now, is more important than hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
It's the single most important facet of training, and it's the single most overlooked and ignored facet of training.
Yeah.
Nothing's more important than being able to be emotionally literate, understand what's happening in your body.
Yeah.
Once you have that, everything else is easy.
Yeah, totally.
Right? So that's I can't push it hard enough.
Yeah.
But that's the most important thing. You don't have to come out of all this stuff traumatized. In fact, you can come out of it stronger.
That's right. You can actually, you can be more evolved and more developed and grow more as a human in that context. I actually believe that's possible. But yeah, you have to be informed. You have to learn how to regulate, right? You have to learn how to regulate your nervous system. Table stakes.
It's the hero story.
Yeah.
It's the hero story. What does the hero do? He wanders out into the world, the classic, right? King Arthur, right?
Yep.
Little boy wandering out into the world.
Hero's journey, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
With this grand destiny ahead of him, ignorant, unaware of any of it, unable to do with any of it, learning as he goes, facing the monster.
Yep.
At the end of it, the monster is us.
Yep.
The journey's in you, right?
Yeah.
And same thing with every day
and then returning, victorious and sharing the lessons.
Right? Maybe a little scarred, a little banged up, armor's a little dented. Well, you know what? Knights in shining armor is a knight who's never in a fucking fight.
Yeah, exactly. You want a knight whose armor's a bit banged up, right?
Exactly.
I love that. That's fantastic.
My armor is beat to shit.
Well, it is, but I mean, look at what you're doing with it.
It's beat to shit and it's hung up in the closet. I don't need armor.
No, I don't think you do.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mental Health Mixtape, brought to you by the Before Operational Stress Program. We hope today's conversation has resonated with you and provided valuable insights into navigating the complexities of mental health. Remember, your well-being is our priority. If you or someone you know could benefit from the support and resources offered by the Before Operational Stress Program, don't hesitate to reach out. Take that first step towards a healthier, more resilient you. And here's a special treat for our dedicated listeners. A 15% discount waits for you when you sign up through the code provided in the show notes. Investing in your mental health has never been more accessible. We appreciate your continued support and commitment to breaking the stigma surrounding mental health. Let's keep the conversation going, and until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.